that, I'd like to bring together the March 13th, 2014 regular board meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District. And we'll begin that with a Pledge of Allegiance. And Director Clark, would you lead us, please?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director. Moving then to the Metro Cable announcement. The open session meeting is videotaped for cablecast on Metro Cable 14, replayed on Saturday, March 15th, 2014 at 1 p.m. and Monday, March 17th, 2014 at 6 p.m. on Channel 14, a webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. The open session meetings are also available for viewing on the district's website at www.metrofire.ca.gov. Public opportunities to discuss matters of public interest within the district's jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda, are provided, and there are speaker cards available through the board clerk. And do we have any speakers for this evening?
There are no speakers.
Thank you. Moving then to the consent agenda.
We have one award, Mr. President, I forgot to tell you about up top, I believe by Mr. Davis.
Directors, Larry Davis, Chief Development Officer, and tonight I'm representing the development team in acknowledging an accomplishment. Erin Castleberry has completed, and I did this again, I did this last time too. Erin, could you come up? I'm talking about it like, I did the same thing to Marie, so I had to do it to you too. In order to build our capacity in grants management and make sure that we're effectively and efficiently managing all the grants, we have been providing training to Erin and Marie in the grants team to further their education in grants management. And management concepts is a very highly recognized and highly recommended and respected grants management training firm. And tonight we're celebrating and acknowledging Erin's accomplishment in receiving her completion for all the requirements of the Program of Grants Management Certification in the recipient track. And to give you an idea of the courses that she's had to complete, they are applying for federal grants and cooperative agreements, managing federal grants and cooperative agreements for recipients, uniform administrative requirements O&B Circular 10A, 102, and CFR Part 215, cost principles, how to write an application narrative, how to prepare application budget, accountability for federal grants, planning, measuring, and reporting grant performance, and financial administration of federal grants for recipients. So it's quite a arduous set of courses, and they're not easy, and they're well delivered. And I just want to acknowledge Erin for this great accomplishment and tell her thank you very much and that we're very proud of her.
Just a comment, having worked in grants for a long time, congratulations on that. It is so critically important to have people like yourself in those roles of grants management, and I know how arduous the work is, and I really appreciate your making the effort. So thank you. Moving then to the consent agenda.
I have a correction, sir, for
Yes.
the consent agenda. It's accurate in the item within your packet. However, I'd like to bring the board's attention and the public to item number 3, meeting schedule. There is a clerical error in the last sentence where it says annual planning, strategic planning workshop and approved canceling the regular board meeting scheduled For April 20th, that should be April 10th, 2014.
Mr. Chair,
Okay.
with that clarification, I'll move the consent agenda.
I have a motion and a second. Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Director Monk,
Aye.
Director Wood,
Aye.
Director Scheidegger,
Aye.
Director Gould,
Aye.
Director Clark, Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
and Director Orzali.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving then to the action items. First item is the amendment to the professional services agreement for public outreach and ballot services with APCO worldwide. Chief Holbrook?
Chief Holbrook is not here. He is at a meeting tonight with Supervisor Roberta McGlashan, so I will be stepping in his place to present this item. We are asking to amend the contract for professional consulting services provided by APCO Worldwide of 1201 K Street, Suite 1200, Sacramento, California. APCO was awarded a sole source contract for professional consulting services on July 11, 2013 for the period of July 1, 2013 through June 30, 2014, with professional fees estimated at $7,500 per month, not to exceed $120,000 per fiscal year. On February 13, 2014, the Board of Directors approved a monetary amendment in the amount of $58,250 to the existing contract for public outreach, copywriting, graphic design services, and printing. This amount is in addition to the original approved amount of the maximum of $120,000 for the 12-month period and is fully accounted for in the 13-14 fiscal year budget. An additional monetary amendment is needed to the existing contract with APCO to cover costs associated with their continued work with the district on public education and communication services. The fiscal impact this has to do with is the benefit assessment, okay? And what we have done is brought this to you in phases, because at any point in time that the project was determined to be stopped, then we would not continue on with bringing the amount of revenue forward. The district has worked intermittently since 2010 on a number of public education and communication issues. To address declining revenue, the district has reduced operational costs and increased efficiency measures while also maximizing potential revenue through federal grants, Medi-Cal cost recovery, and fire code permit fees. With property tax revenues lagging behind other signs of recovery while calls of service increase, the district continues to examine options for potential revenue sources, including a special benefit assessment on properties. As the district prepares to conduct a broad-based outreach to community stakeholders to discuss these options in a potential balloting process, APCO's scope of work will increase to include development of presentation materials, outreach planning, and other support to district staff. APCO is uniquely qualified among firms in a greater Sacramento region to advise public and private entities on public finance matters. Since 1994, APCO has provided public education and communication services on such matters to a number of the organizations, including the Sacramento Flood Control Agency, City of Sacramento, and the Downtown Sacramento Partnership. Fiscal impact: the amended amount for public outreach, printing, tax, mailing house services, and postage is $291,500 and is fully accounted for in the fiscal 13-14 budget. Staff is recommending that you approve that. If this board, which will have a meeting, a special meeting on April 3rd, which I'll talk about a little later in the meeting, approves to move forward with the benefit assessment, these dollars would be spent. If they don't, then the dollars would not be spent. But we're approving them ahead of time because we're paying for the work to be done once you green light it. And this will be through June 30th of this year in order to hold that special election, do the ballot, mail out, and all of that. So we're asking for your approval tonight for that amount.
So moved.
Discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Please, Director Kelly.
If board counsel could just confirm for the board that the district's ability to expend these funds in an effort to increase or in an effort to identify new revenue streams to promote the financial health of this district. Can you just confirm to us that it is in with the district's ability to spend the money, these funds?
I believe it is within the authority granted to the district pursuant to the Fire Protection District Act and the statutory basis for district authority set forth in Health and Safety Code Section 13861 through 13863. I will confirm that, and if there's any difference, I'll advise the board.
Close enough for me, thank you.
And I just wanted to add, this is not and cannot be used for advocating. This is simply, as it says, for printing and mailing of educational and ballot material.
Thank you.
No advocacy.
Just one other comment. Is there any other discussion? Director Wood?
Chief, this is based on the presentation we had at the last meeting, that there are amounts that are recoverable. If this passes, there are amounts recoverable from the proceeds from the assessment. These funds are within those amounts recoverable, right?
That is my understanding, yes, sir.
Director Scheidegger?
Chief, just one quick question. I want to make sure I understand. The 291 is cumulative or inclusive of the 120 and the 58, and you're kind of staging these, as you said, right? So the 291 would take us to the total approval.
Completion.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Just one comment before we vote. As the chief is aware, I had a series of questions about the way this was structured, and I want to take a moment to appreciate it, to tell you how much I appreciate all your efforts in those clarifications for me so that I was comfortable with what was happening. And so with that, will the clerk please call the roll?
Director Monk,
Aye.
Director Wood,
Aye.
Director Scheidegger,
Aye.
Director Gould,
Aye.
Director Clark, Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Jones, and Director Orzali.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving then to item 2, amendment to professional services agreement for legal services, Mandell Municipal Counseling. Chief Holbrook, again, not here. Were you handling that, Chief?
Yes, sir, I am. What this covers is an additional $10,000 for the Mandell Law Firm and Mr. Mandell himself to provide us legal advice in regards to the balloting process, the resolution of intent, all of those things that have to confine with Prop 218, and that's what his specialty is. He has been working for us already on this issue, and this will also lead us to the conclusion of the process.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the roll?
Director Monk,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Scheidegger,
Aye.
Gould,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Jones, and Orzali.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving then to the third item, amendment to professional services agreement for, and I'm going to slaughter this, Robolini Construction Management Services and bid awards for Emergency Management Exercise Simulation Center. Larry Davis?
Roblin.
Larry Davis, Chief Development Officer. This is, you know what, I've got the wrong one here. Erin? Step back one second.
He has the wrong folder, Mr. President.
She's got the right one.
No, she's got to go get the right.
No, she's got the right one in her arms.
Oh, here, loan him an
Go on
iPad.
to another item.
All right, so that, let's move then to, oh, all right.
The date threw me a little bit. The date's the 14th, or and it should be March 13, 2014. And so I was looking down and I saw it, I'm like, oh no, I got the wrong one. So, okay, I'm sorry. Larry Davis, Chief Development Officer. The item that's in front of you is the final phase of the California Exercise Simulation Center. So we have gone out to bid and we have our final bids and we have our system designed. And this is a grant-funded project that's been going on for about a little over 2 years now. And we're in the home stretch, and hopefully we'll have the system up and running and be able to utilize it. The total fee for the installation is $879,677. and this is 100% grant funded.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion? Seeing none, will the,
So Larry, this is it. Once this installation is done, this simulation center can become functional, and we're gonna start seeing people move through it and finalize their training and those kind of things.
Yes, and I'm glad you used the word functional. I mean, this is at the very end of the project, and there is, we put it out to bid for the full scope, and there is what I'm calling the functional and the optional, or the optimal method of that. There are some other embellishments, some other things that we would like to have in the facility, and we plan to have in the facility, but our bids preclude us from having 100%, but it will be functional, it will be operational.
Now, I didn't see anything in this paperwork that gives us a timeline. When is this project that we're funding or approving tonight, when does it look like it's going to be completed?
It's May or June. And there are a couple hurdles. One is we have into OES right now a furniture approval request, and so we've got the contractor in the starting gate, contractors in the starting gates, but we've got some final approvals from OES before we can give them to go ahead. And then it'll be pretty quick after that, probably 60, 90 days at the max to finish it up.
And our shortage is, for optimal, is only about $400,000. This project, when it originally was brought to us, was a $12 million project. And so we will be asking for the additional $400,000, which means we will have accomplished what they had scheduled for a $12 million project for around $4,400,000. So we are in the process of making that request to Cal OES, and we have some other players that we're working with as well.
They gotta be happy.
Larry, I have one question for you. At the point of completion, will this have some formal relationship to the NOC that we visited in Washington, D.C.?
Yes, and as the chief just mentioned, there are some other entities that are, and some of this is very fluid and happening, at the moment. And I don't know if the chief wants to go into that a little bit, but.
Yeah, I will just say that there were the unbelievers who now see all of a sudden that it's going to be done. And that has then attracted a bunch of people that would like to jump on the bandwagon for research and development. So I don't really want to go into those exact agencies at the point tonight, but they've already been back to Washington, D.C. once a few weeks ago, Larry. And I think we'll be hitting that on cap to cap this year to finish that off. And we're working with a variety of other stakeholders that now all of a sudden, especially it being on the West Coast, it's very convenient for them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Have a very strong relationship with that facility. Yeah.
That's pretty classic.
any further discussion? And seeing none, thank you, Larry.
Thank you very much.
And we have a motion and a second? Right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Director Monk?
Aye.
Wood?
Aye.
Scheidegger?
Aye.
Gould?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
And Orzali?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving then to item 4, which is the Leadership Legacy Recognition Awards Policy. And Chief Wells, will you lead this?
I will, thank you. Good evening, directors. Mark Wells, Deputy Chief, Administration. And tonight before you is the Leadership Legacy Recognition Award. It should be noted that this has been worked by the Policy Committee, both in 2 meetings, most recently though at February 27th, where the Policy Committee has adopted this policy or recommended this policy that lives within the accommodations and awards policy in general. It's a small, or it's a fairly large addition actually to that policy, but we thought it would be most important to have it within our existing framework of our accommodations and awards. So with that, the intent of this is to have a tangible, significant, and durational contribution that has been recognized by the Board of Directors that an individual has made for the success of this agency. And it's important to recognize that this is not intended to be given often, unless it's deserved often, which I would hope it would be, but that's probably unrealistic. And it's something that is, Director Rosali has done a tremendous amount of work on a metric system to appropriately identify the metrics by which this would be awarded, and tangible, durational, and significance. So with that, we have the policy itself in your board packet. The changes have been identified in yellow to the existing policy. And I could entertain any questions if you'd like to go down that route, or if the board is familiar with the policy, we could go item by item through the yellow pieces, or we could entertain any questions or comments.
Comments, questions?
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
And I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Before we go to the vote, I just want to take a moment to express my appreciation to Chief Wells and the staff for all their work, and to the executive committee for the work they put into this. This is an important step in creating a sense of history and for Metro Fire, and I'm very pleased to have brought this to the board. So with that, will the board clerk please call the roll?
Director Monk?
Aye.
Wood?
Aye.
Scheidegger?
Aye.
Gould?
Aye.
Clark? Kelly?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
And Orzali?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Item 5, the Ballot, Carmichael Recreation.
Sherry
Thank you.
Kelly for this item. The Carmichael Recreation and Park District is proposing an assessment for all parcels within their district for purposes of funding improved park safety and security and renovations and improvements to parks. Sacramento Metro Fire has received a ballot for 3 parcels located within the assessment area. The proposed annual assessment for these properties for fiscal year 2014-15 are $134.61, $67.31, and $1.88 respectively. The board is being asked to adopt a resolution authorizing the fire chief to cast the district's ballot in support of these assessments.
Discussion?
I will just, for the board's pleasure, I received a phone call from Supervisor Susan Peters asking me to pass on her request that the Sacramento Fire Protection District Board support voting in favor of this ballot. So I am doing that therefore.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we support the chief's ballot in support of this tax initiative. Second.
I have a motion and a flock of seconds. So, any further? Any further discussion? With that, will the board clerk please call the roll?
Director Monk?
Aye.
Wood?
Aye.
Scheidegger?
Aye.
Gould?
Aye.
Clark? Kelly?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
And Orzali?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving on to item 6, nomination for candidates for CSDA board clerk. And so under that recognition for the board clerk's position, do we have a nomination?
What?
Well, it says here, nominated Director Pearson to be placed on the California Special Districts Association ballot as a candidate.
Yeah, you said board clerk.
Oh,
Yeah, we can't have her do
Get
it.
about
no,
another item.
no, that's what it says right here, is going to be carried by the board clerk.
Oh.
By the board clerk, okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move this, the recommendation to nominate Director Pearson for our representative on the CSDA ballot for our district.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Well, it's interesting because there's already printed material from this organization that shows our illustrious colleague
As
serving
being-
in that role. So good for him. He doesn't even need a vote.
So, board clerk, if you please call the roll.
Director Monk?
Aye.
Wood?
Aye.
Scheidegger?
Aye.
Gould?
Aye.
Clark? Kelly.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Orzali.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Presentations then. Moving to the first presentation, 12 lead transmissions for the STEM alert. Clough?
Good evening, Directors, Chief Henke, Scott Clough, Assistant Chief, Emergency Medical Services Division. If I remember correctly, in 2013, the board asked that they could periodically receive presentations on activities within the district and the different divisions. So tonight, I'm not asking for you to approve anything, nor am I asking you to spend any money. We're just making a nice, clean presentation for your information only. In 2013, the division staff came to me and asked if they could pursue a program in transmitting 12 lead EKGs to the hospitals in anticipation of increasing the positive outcome that our cardiac patients would receive from the field to the hospital. And in doing so, we took a concept that was strictly a development idea to something that we're actually doing in the field right now today. And it's even gone beyond that, and we've partnered with an area hospital to take it to the next level. As much as I would love to tell you about the program, I can tell you the staff of the EMS division did all of this. I had nothing to do with this program. They deserve all of the credit for this. And so with that, I'll turn the presentation over to my staff and their guest.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, directors, chiefs, members of the public. I think I'm good. Thank you. I'm Sean Daly, Captain, EMS Division. I was asked to come in and talk to you a little bit about this new program that we're doing, this cardiac alert system. We've been actively working on it here in the EMS Division for quite some time, but just recently implemented it into the field. Like everybody here at Metro Fire, we're always looking for ways to improve or enhance the services that we're providing to the community. And through this new system, we're doing just exactly that. The men and women in the field are taking that excellent service they already provide and taking it to the next level by doing one simple extra step that in the long run saves time, improves patient outcomes, and ultimately is saving lives. So I'd like to give you a little bit of information in the background about where we're coming from and why we're doing this to begin with. So as many of you know, when a person suffers a heart attack, or in the medical field we call that a myocardial infarction, or an MI, a theoretical time clock starts ticking, and it's literally a race of life and death. So time becomes tissue, as it's often said, because with each passing minute, more heart tissue becomes affected and is irreversibly damaged by the heart attack. So our goal is to get the patient to the definitive care that they need, which is ultimately a cardiac cath lab, as fast as they can. Hold on one second, I got a presentation here for you guys. Okay, so heart attacks can be divided up into two basic groups. We have non-STEMIs, which can be treated at any hospital, and we have STEMIs, which require the treatment of a cardiac cath lab and cardiologists who are specially trained. Now, the term STEMI stands for ST elevation MI. So I'll show you shortly here where the ST elevation comes in. But basically, a STEMI heart attack is where an artery in the heart is completely blocked off. And of course, the tissue that is fed by that artery quickly is affected by that loss of blood. And opening that artery quickly and definitively restoring the blood to that part of the heart becomes critical for the patient. And again, as time goes on, the chances of them making a full recovery or even surviving decrease substantially. So the American Heart Association has a recommendation that the total time from the time the patient walks in the door of the emergency room to the time they are given that treatment at the cath lab is 90 minutes. And we have partnered with a local hospital here, Mercy San Juan, and actually built that 90 minutes into from the time the paramedic reaches the patient side until they receive that treatment. So as far as the ST elevation is concerned, you can see that on this graph. It's basically the segment. It's a funny looking wave at the end between the J and the T. That extra little wave there tends to be an ominous sign and is unique to this type of heart attack. So as part of their assessment, all of our paramedics are trained on how to look for that and recognize it. And in addition, all of our cardiac monitors that we have are equipped with an EKG computer-assisted interpretation software, which also helps identify that specific type of heart attack. And again, when that specific type of heart attack is detected, then the paramedic needs to take the patient to a specialized hospital with a cardiac cath lab. This is an example of what the 12-lead interpretation looks like. If you look at the far left, you'll see some dotted red lines there, and there's that ominous-looking wave that is indicative of a STEMI. And in the middle right, it shows this 12-lead is indicating that it does meet the ST elevation criteria, meaning that the patient needs to go to a specific specialty hospital. So this 12-lead is transmitted with a system called LifeNet, and I'll get into that shortly of how that works. And really the concept of transmitting these 12 leads isn't new. It's been something we've been doing for a long time, and many agencies have. But the idea of using this 12 lead to activate a cardiac alert in the field, that is, it's been an idea concept for quite a while. But just in 2011, Rick Maloney from the EMS division and staff from Mercy San Juan worked together tirelessly to bring that to life. And again, we implemented it in the field in late 2013. So Sac Metro was the first agency here in Sacramento to start doing that, and Mercy San Juan Hospital was the first hospital in Sacramento to start receiving those from us. And it should also be noted here that Rick Maloney put in a considerable effort and used some technical ingenuity to be able to get this implemented and working with no cost to the district. So in our old system, the paramedic would arrive on scene, they would conduct their assessment, perform a 12 lead, and then they would put the patient in the ambulance and drive him to the hospital, treat him appropriately, and when they got there, the emergency room staff would perform another 12 lead. An ER doctor would look at that 12 lead, forward it on to a cardiologist, who would then interpret it and decide whether the patient needs to go to a cath lab. And at that point, the cath lab team and the cath lab itself was prepped and ready for the patient. Obviously, many, many minutes were wasted during the time that we first saw the signs of a STEMI, that the STEMI was present, to the time we got the patient to the emergency room. So with our new system, we conduct a 12 lead. The 12 lead is then transmitted immediately to the hospital via the LifeNet. And oftentimes, LifeNet can transmit that 12 lead right to the cardiologist's iPhone. He can look at it literally in real time, interpret it, and make the phone call right then to get the cardiac cath lab prepped and get the team on the way. So many minutes are saved there, and ultimately that just results in better outcomes for the patient and lives saved. So the end result, like I said before, time is tissue. Getting them to the cardiac cath lab sooner, getting them their definitive treatment equals reduced heart damage, increased survivability for the patient, shorter hospital stays, lower hospital costs, and like everything we do, it saves lives. So Mercy San Juan is our biggest customer, meaning we transport to that hospital more than any other hospital in our region. And we're their biggest customer, meaning they receive more Metro Fire ambulances than any other agency in the region. So tonight I have with me Miss Dana Bentley, who has a background in pre-hospital care before she became an RN, and she's currently our pre-hospital care clinical coordinator at Mercy San Juan. She's also a member of their Cardiac Alert Committee, which is the steering team guiding Mercy San Juan to becoming a certified cardiac care center. So we've worked closely with her and her colleagues at Mercy San Juan, and I'd like to give her an opportunity to speak here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Once again, my name is Dana Bentley. I am the pre-hospital clinical care coordinator for Mercy San Juan, a member of Dignity Health. We do take quite a few ambulances. We take about 70% of all Sac Metro Fire's ambulances. And we had implemented LifeNet in 2013, kind of saw a little bit of positive response from it. And we thought, what are we doing wrong? We have patients coming in with STEMI, so acute coronary issues, and we're missing something. The national standard was 90 minutes. We were hitting 90 minutes, but we weren't satisfied. So in collaboration with Metro Fire, we had cardiac alert committees every single month. We said there's got to be something we're doing that's got to be better. How about we use this system? So we have, since implementation of this for acute heart attacks, we have reduced our door to cath lab, which means door to those heart vessels being opened back up, the tissue no longer being dead, to under 60 minutes, multiple patients under 25 minutes. That is amazing. The system, the paramedics on the streets getting it to us right away, us sending it straight to our cardiac interventionalist has changed the entire game. So we have seen with our collaboration, we have seen with our patients' quality of life being better, are the lives that we've saved, that LifeNet is just the beginning of what we can do. The fact that patients are getting educated sooner, that they're calling 911, that the medics can recognize what an acute heart attack is, give us that information, and reduce all that time is just amazing. I want to thank you guys for allowing them to have the freedom and the creative expression to develop these type of systems, and that, you know, we work in such great collaboration that we are saving lives every day.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, attention.
Captain Daly, I have a quick question.
Sir.
If you don't mind.
Please, please.
Captain Daly, can you tell us in 2013, do you just have a general idea of how many STEMIs were alerted that we transported but were taking longer time? I'm just trying to get an idea of the magnitude of the number of STEMIs that Metro was exposed to, because that'll drive, now that we've got this improved system, we're going to have that many thousands or hundreds of patients that's lives are radically changed by this methodology. So do you have any idea of how many STEMIs were being pulled into the hospital?
I don't, but I'm guessing that her...
I do. I monitor all of the ambulance calls that come in through Mercy San Juan.
Sure.
And we are looking about 20 per month, and that's active acute heart attacks that the field is diagnosing. Walk-in are currently about 5 a month. So what we're seeing is this trend to up it, because what used to happen is that the medics would maybe think it's an MI and they might see something, but it wasn't characteristic of a certain, you know, we are sure that this is a heart attack. So they would tell us and we wouldn't activate because we weren't sure either. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, waking up a cardiac interventionalist is not always brought about with nice things when they get to the hospital and are told, well, this isn't a heart attack, thank you so much. You know, the cath lab, it's, you know, you can all visualize how that conversation goes. So since this, we have had an increase in the cardiac alerts, but they're all valid. Even the ones that our physician in the emergency department looked at and said, no, I don't think we should call. And I said, you know, let's call. Okay, fine. When the patient got there, it had progressed, because remember, it's all about progression. So when you see that elevation, that ST elevation, the big humps, they get bigger. And they get bigger because cardiac tissue is dying. So what they saw in the field, what the machine said could possibly be suspected, it was. And so we're seeing at least 20, and I'm expecting it to go up to 30 a month. And these are patients that, like I said, we're decreasing from the standard of 90 minutes, you know, to almost 25. And I'm telling you, I've got these guys pushing my cardiac interventionalists to say, can we just go straight to the cath lab? Can we just bypass the ER and go straight up there? And they're thinking about it.
Yeah,
You
it sounds
guys
like a
got
great
to
idea.
Thinking about it. So
Yeah,
this is-
stop
this
thinking,
is
it sounds like a great
collaboration.
idea.
Yeah, it's fabulous. We just got to figure out a way to do it. And, you know, I got
Have an
creative people.
elevator,
Yeah.
show up, go up the elevator, it's pretty simple.
So, yeah, I mean, so it's saving massive amounts of lives, quality. I mean, even the quality, because you figure in the last month, we did change some of our policies at Mercy San Juan to no longer wait in the emergency department for the cardiac interventionalist to get there. So now they're stopping, getting IVs, because nothing's easy. And our cath lab didn't quite understand what our paramedics see. Being an EMS background, I know it's not easy. When you get to the house, they're not dressed in a pretty gown and they're not waiting for you at the door, and they don't already have an IV in. Our medics have to get them out of the house. They have to, get the IVs, do the 12-lead, transmit it. And so it all takes time. In fact, we did a cardiac symposium for our cath team, our ED and EMS involved, to show what the patient gets from EMS to the ED to the cath lab, so that each portion of this piece of the puzzle knows what the other is doing. And let's find ways to make teamwork work and get together.
Thank you too, Rick.
Yeah, Rick was amazing. So, and then I don't know if you wanted to show that.
I do have that video available if you guys would like to watch it. I know we're over on our time for what we had allotted, so.
You need to.
Absolutely.
By hands?
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's see.
I'm gonna be resuscitating you. That's
So again, we were asked to help articulate to the cardiologist and the cardiac cath team some of the challenges that our crews face on a day-to-day basis. It's not as simple as just walking in a room and saying, I have a 12 lead and here it is for you. So there are some challenges that go along with it. So the very talented Captain Cahill was gracious enough to provide us the services in filming this. And
You're gonna like this.
What is the address of the emergency? Tell me exactly what happened.
My friend got me chest pains and he's asking what it's happening.
Okay, I'm gonna get the head started. I have a couple questions while we're on the way, okay?
Okay.
How old is he?
He is 47.
Okay, is he awake right now?
Yeah.
Is he breathing?
Yeah, he's breathing.
Okay, is he completely alert?
Yeah.
Is he breathing normally?
No, is he breathing normally? He's throwing up.
Okay, but before the vomiting, is he breathing normally?
No, he's out like a pants.
Okay, is he changing color?
Yes, he's pale and he doesn't feel good.
Okay, is he clammy, cold and sweaty?
Yes.
And has he ever had a heart attack or
He's
angina?
got two.
Okay, any drugs or medications in the last 12
He's
hours?
on a ton of medicine.
So do we know if he's getting nitroglycerin?
If he doesn't, I can go from now.
Okay, just go ahead and continue to have him in a position where if he does continue the vomiting, he's not gonna choke on that, okay?
Okay.
We've got them coming to. Let's make sure your front doors are locked and he can't put away, Kim, okay?
Yes.
No food or drink for him. If anything does change in for him,
So at the end of that, at this cardiac symposium, the actual crew came through the door with their actor there and wheeled them in on the gurney, and Mercy San Juan had their whole cath lab crew there set up with a mock cath lab and took the crowd through the next steps in the patient treatment. So it was very well received. It came out good. This was actually filmed based on an actual patient on Christmas Day that had an actual STEMI. Those were actual calls that you heard from it. And that patient was assessed, transported, treated, got to the cath lab in 37 minutes. So,
Wow.
So that concludes my presentation. Thank you again for your time, and thanks for being understanding that we went over a little bit.
Oh, absolutely, and thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you, Ms. Bentley, for being with us. That's truly phenomenal. Moving then to item 2 under presentations, the expansion of Reserve Firefighters Program.
Good evening, Board of Directors, Chief Henke, Maurice Johnson, Battalion Chief and Reserve Firefighter Program Coordinator. I'm here tonight to give you an update on the Reserve Firefighter Program expansion that you approved in January. Staff's been working diligently to make sure the program is rolled out and that it meets all of your expectations. The major items of note really in this update include the job description that has been changed to reflect our current Metro Fire standard relative to formatting, as well as the residency requirement, the restrictions lifted, and then also to reflect a stipend as opposed to a pay-per-call system that we had before. The other change that you can note on page 3 is really a table. It's a detailed table that tells you all of the program expenses and a revised amount. A large majority of that is the change from a stipend or change from a paid-per-call program to a stipend program, which will allow us to have the 24/7 coverage, providing the coverage that we need to staff all the support apparatus that will help our firefighters on their incidents and whatnot. So that includes the rehab units, the type 4s in support of the water tender that's so critical out in the Rio-Linda, Alberta area and unwatered areas as well. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Chief, a couple of questions. One, approximately how many people will be involved in this program?
So the expansion is going to take the program from 5 currently to 25 max. So
Okay.
25 reserve firefighters in the program at any one given time.
So we would have, with this, we'd have 24-hour availability for the reserve program.
That is correct. So currently, the program, the way it works is paid per call. So when our reserve firefighters are off duty from their full-time jobs, they respond from home, or they might stay at the station from time to time when they have availability from their job and family.
Oh, well, thank you. That was my next question, was how do they get there? So, all right, other questions? Director Monk? Oh.
Chief Johnson, I really like this program and support. I just was a little unclear on the page of the table. What is that, page 3, I guess?
Yes.
You say outline 13-14 budget, and then you say expenses. When are we going to start this?
Right, and so when we initially started the program, or revamping the program, it was going to be in a 13-14 fiscal year. Now that we've had the extra time to actually put the program together and get everything there, it's going to fall more in the 14-15 budget year. The other piece is with this hiring firefighters and single-role paramedics, we're going to try to fall in line when we can, when HR has the ability to put folks through. That's why it's going to fall into the next budget.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Please, Director Kelly.
Chief, I support everything you do because I think you do a great job. But I just can't get away from thinking that with the greater Sacramento area, I mean, to include Solano and Contra Costa in this effort, I mean, you just spoke about how when guys are off work, you know, are they responding? Who's going to respond from Contra Costa or Solano? Well, I know Solano's a little closer than Contra Costa, but it's hard for me to grasp the fact that we can't find enough people that want to be part of this effort in Sacramento and the greater or the surrounding area. I mean, I'm going to vote in favor of this because I'm positive that you've looked, you know, and you know what you're faced with in finding people that want to participate in a volunteer capacity with this district. But I would like to think that if there's any type of grading of those individuals when, you know, you've looked at them all, I would think that this guys from people from Sacramento, be they men or women, deserve to have maybe a point or two given in their favor, because certainly the tax dollars that are spent here, I'd hate to think that we've got to go so far away to find people to volunteer for this department.
And you're
Perhaps-
absolutely right.
Speaking,
Yeah, I think I'd be, Director Kelly is right on point, and I think I'm probably the one that needs to answer that. I couldn't agree more. And I can assure you, as the fire chief, we will be looking local first. And only at the point that we have to reach out in expansion because we don't have enough qualified candidates will that happen. This is a reserve program, volunteer program. There's latitude here. This is also to help us attract young men and women who aren't necessarily going to graduate from high school and go off to college, but are looking for a career and an alternative path. It allows us to get them in to this program and give them the experience that they need, give them that incentive and mentoring to get them on that path so that they start to take their EMT classes and they start to provide, get better education or more education so that we can get them to a point where eventually we can take these young men and women to the paramedic level and bring them into either the single role or into the fire department as full-blown firefighter paramedics. So the goal has always been to open up an additional pathway, absent just a straight testing process, such as exists for the single role paramedic and the firefighter paramedic, and try to get into those tougher areas of socioeconomic depressed areas and attract youth, men and women, that otherwise would not know about this type of opportunity, that it even exists, and get them into that.
All right, thank you.
any other discussion? We don't actually have a vote on this. It's a presentation, so.
Correct. I would like to introduce two of our reserve firefighters, our long-standing reserve firefighters, Reserve Firefighter Mark Siebert and Robert Driver, 15 years and 20 years of service respectively. My gosh.
Thank you.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Please.
I have been on the barbecue with Mr. Driver on more than one occasion for fire camp, and appreciate the hard work and the service that you both provide to this district. Thank you for your dedication.
With that, we'll move to the President's report, and I am pleased to make this announcement because it's important for all of us. And we have a new board clerk, Ms. Melissa Pania, and I had the privilege of sitting on her interview panel, and that was quite an experience because the competition was tough. I would tell you that Ms. Pania has an extraordinary professional reputation within the department, and we're very pleased to have you with us.
Congratulations.
And Melissa, you will shortly put me on your do not answer list on your phone, so just stand by for that.
I want to do it now, yeah.
Also, I want to take the opportunity to express my appreciation to the superintendent of the Elk Grove School District for extending an invitation for myself and representatives of Metro Fire to meet with his team to further discuss the implementation of the Career Paths program for students into medical and fire service. And I look forward to those meetings. With that, we'll move on to the Fire Chief's report.
President Orzali, Board of Directors, first off, I'd like to start with the Slough House tax report. I don't need to mention specifically the news outlet, but there was coverage in regards to the Slough House tax assessment over the last several weeks. which I think and feel obligated to answer some misconceptions. And that is that in the Slough House tax assessment, number one, there were mistakes made that this district found on its own. And this district brought them to light. This district reached out to community representatives, and we addressed getting the money back to the taxpayers within the confines of the law. We have always intended to pay the full reimbursement back to 2005 and 6. But the law was fairly clear, and we were advised that we were not permitted to do that. Therefore, the certain news agency ran some stories on this and really put the district in a light that was not factual. We were honest and upfront. And we have reached out to Assemblymember Cooley on behalf of the Board of Directors. We have submitted our legal opinion and briefs to Mr. Cooley, Assemblymember Cooley, who is having it taken before Revenue and Tax and getting a legal opinion, because this has to do with state law on what you can do. We expect to get an answer sometime here in the near future, but we didn't wait for that answer. We asked Mr. Cooley in a letter from the president of the board and our attorney to issue or pursue urgency legislation to allow the board of directors in this district to legally pay those assessments back to those homeowners. We can't just not follow the law. Even though we would have liked to have done that, we can't. We have to follow it like everybody else. But we are going to get there. We are going to get there one way or the other, whether we have to change the law or whatever means to make it happen. That has always been our intent. And again, I want to reiterate that this district found this mistake, which it was, and came forward with it immediately when it was recognized. And some of the people that were interviewed from the Taxpayers Association, I can only tell you that you got snippets on what you saw in the news. One gentleman that will remain nameless because I don't have permission to use it, but from a pretty well-known taxpayer advocate, actually, I was informed, stated that he felt the district was upfront, honest, and deserved credit for what we had found and done to get it out. Of course, that didn't make it in the story. So I just want to clarify to our constituents and the members out there in this Slough House tax area, we want to do the right thing. We always have from the very, very beginning. We just have to operate within the confines of the law. When the law doesn't permit it, we'll seek changes to make that redress and make it happen so that each and every one of you get what you're entitled to. So I wanted to announce that tonight. I really, as the fire chief, appreciate President Orzali and legal counsel who have really, really worked hard on making this happen, and Assemblymember Cooley for offering to carry the legislation. It should also be noticed that when I asked Assemblymember Cooley whether he said we had done it wrong, as was reported in the media, he said he did not make that statement. He said the law is unclear, and he is seeking answers to that. And if we need that urgency legislation, he will carry it for us. So stay tuned to stay tuned. We will do the right thing as we always have intended to do. And that concludes my marks on Slough House. The other thing I want to announce tonight is at our last board meeting, the board of directors received an engineer's report and a Citygate report in regards to a draft benefit assessment. And at that meeting, we announced that we would be bringing the resolution of intent back to this board for their consideration on March 27th. As in all things, sometimes delays happen, and in this one, we've had a delay that has occurred that has pushed us back approximately 1 week. So today, for all the people that have been contacted by the district that we have talked to, we sent an email out, and I just want to read it so that it's in the record, and then I'll reiterate where we're at. It says, "Dear citizen member, I wanted to alert you to the fact that we have decided to put the benefit assessment issue on the board's agenda at the special meeting scheduled on April 3rd at 4 p.m. At this meeting, the board will consider adopting a resolution of intent to proceed with the balloting process in April. We hope to elicit as much feedback as possible from interested parties in the form of written comments before April 3rd or testimony at the hearing. This hearing will be held where the board always meets, our board hearing room on the second floor of our headquarters building at 10545 Armstrong Avenue, Mather. On March 28th, you will be able to find the resolution on Metro Fire's website. Also, please note that you can find all of the background information we have produced on this issue by going to a special section on Metro Fire's website, which is listed as benefit assessment. We have also listed on the website today that the meeting date will be April 3rd, and that's because we are in a time crunch. We had to move it back 1 week. We have made sure that the meeting can be televised, so it will happen at the conclusion of the board's working workshop, and they will conclude that meeting. This meeting will have already been agendized and specifically announced for April 3rd at 4 p.m. We will open that meeting, and we wanted to make sure it was fully televised and that we got as much lead time as possible to the community out there ahead of time. And so, unlike the Brown Act requiring the 72 hours, we're giving at least, I think, almost 3 weeks of notification. We will remind everybody at our next meeting on the 27th that this has been changed to April 3rd. So the public out there, I want them to know, if you're watching tonight, and this will be replayed, that if you watched our meeting last 2 weeks ago, the date has changed for the special benefit assessment, and that is the resolution of intent will be brought before this board of directors in this very chambers on April 3rd at 4 p.m. So that really concludes my remarks on that, but we felt it's so important that we get out there to the public and give them enough time to get the corrections. We made sure we got it updated on the website, and we just really want them to have all the opportunity they can to be participants in the process and to make sure that they're there and they can be heard. In regards to other events, on February 18th through the 19th, I attended the Cal Chiefs 2014 Quarterly President's Forum and Goals and Objectives Workshop. Also, recently, I attended on the 7th of this month, I was a speaker at Supervisor Roberta McGlashan's, she calls it a kitchen cabinet meeting, but in her district, she holds these coffees for people to come, and that's where Deputy Chief Chris Holbrook is tonight, is addressing them. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to Supervisor McGlashan's constituents, which are our constituents. We serve them, and it was a great opportunity, and we want to thank Supervisor McGlashan for allowing us to come to her meetings and address the public that she represents, and we as the fire department serve, and of course you folks represent. I attended with Assistant Chief Clough yesterday the Contra Costa County Fire Chiefs meeting to discuss an overview of EMS services and ambulance services. Fortunately or unfortunately, Metro Fire has become sort of the standard to go to, or the go-to people in regards to providing these services. Sacramento County is a model system with boundary drops, centralized dispatch, closest unit goes, and those things. And so now we are getting pushed and pulled in several different directions to try to educate at the request of other county chiefs what they can do to provide that. We continue to do outreach on the revenue enhancement issue in education. So those meetings have been nonstop and exhaustive. We continue those. I ask everybody to save the date. March 28th is the Sacramento Metro Fire Association Retirement Dinner, which the district for the first time is co-hosting and helping pay for. I believe the tickets are $25, and this will be for the retirees from Metro Fire. And so I encourage everybody to come. It will be at the Croatian Center at 6 p.m. And so again, that's on March 28th. Also, the week of March 31st through April 4th is Metro Fire will be hosting the 44th Annual Fire Mechanics Academy out at McClellan. That is a huge, huge event. Interestingly enough, I'm proud to announce both I will be welcoming the mechanics in their dinner, but more importantly, and sort of a source of pride for this region, Fire Chief Tracy Hansen from the Consumnes Fire Department was duly elected as the president-elect of the California Fire Chiefs Association, and she will be taking over within the next 30 days as the president of the California Fire Chiefs Association. She will be the first woman representing the California Fire Chiefs in its history. I think this is a groundbreaking moment for the fire service. She is exceptionally brilliant, well-educated, and tenacious in regards to fire service issues and representing our profession both from a fire standpoint and from emergency medical services delivery standpoint. We did play a little bit of a role in her campaign, so I was very proud that we were able to be successful in that, and she is going to lead the fire service well into the future. And if the governor's watching on TV, it probably would be a really great idea, as he did for Christopher Boyd, who is Citrus Heights Police Chief, who is now the president of the California Police Chiefs, so Sacramento's doing pretty good. The governor attended that dinner, and it would, if he's watching, we will be inviting him to attend the swearing in September of Chief Hansen, and I think it would be a great, great event for the governor to attend. I have no new hires to report, no reinstatements to report. Assistant Chief Darren Taylor is currently the acting Deputy Chief of Ops, effective March 5th through May 31st of 2014. For the personnel in the fire stations, no, Chief Holbrook did not get fired or demoted, but that obviously was apparently in the memo. That was what they thought happened after his interview on that specific news channel. It just happened this took place the next day. Timing is everything.
Man.
But he is hugely involved in the engineering of the benefit assessment and everything that goes with it. And at this point, we needed to reassign him to that. And this is also another one of those opportunities of succession planning and allowing other personnel to step in and carry the load and get the experience for what that is like. So if Chief Taylor could report to my office on Monday, I can show him my temper, and then he'll get the full experience. I'm just kidding. Retirements, none to report. Promotions, none to report. We are doing a secretary recruitment, closes on 3/21 at 5 p.m. And we're also looking for human resources specialists. And now we'll be looking for 2. The one additional that we're moving in there, and of course, new clerk Melissa Pania taking over creates another opening. And with that, I would like to say I sat on those interviews with President Orzali and Director Pearson, and I believe Chief Cockram, and I forget who else was there. I'm sure I'll hurt somebody's feelings. But I will tell you that when you sit on a promotional panel and you interview very top-notch people from across the state of California, and we had some very top-notch people, and you see the professionalism and the demeanor in people that come from within our own organization, and they truly don't get the job because they're an internal candidate. They get the job because they were dynamic and they did a tremendous, tremendous amount of homework and a lot of preparation. And when they sat there and they give their presentation, it's just absolutely jaw-dropping. That makes a fire chief or a CEO or a city manager, but especially this fire chief, I couldn't have been more proud. And that's not just to the credit, although a large part is, of Clerk Pania, but to the people in the HR division and the people in this fire department, both administrative staff, line staff, and people like that, that have taken the time to help with succession planning and preparing even this candidate for the move up the ladder. And so I couldn't be more prouder, and just say on behalf of the fire chief, I'm looking forward to working very closely with Clerk Pania, and I don't think we could have made a better decision. And so with that, that concludes my remarks for this evening. I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions for the chief? Seeing no questions, we'll move into the operations report.
Sorry, Mr. President, if I confused on that part. Good evening, Darren Taylor, Assistant Chief of Operations. I'm here tonight to present you with the operational report from our last board meeting. Metro Fire responded to 2,671 dispatches with a transport rate of 75%. Our partners in the EMS world, AMR, had 2 dispatches with a transport rate of 100%. In that, since our last board meeting, our crews fought 12 working structure fires. And again, as I always like to say, I applaud their work. They do an outstanding, exceptional job when they're out there. Sometimes that goes not seen because the news is not currently always there on some of the structure fires that our crews are on. And as their representative for them, from me to you, they do just an outstanding job. So I hope you guys always understand that. Other than that, if there's no further questions, that's it for the operational report. I hope everyone has a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving then to General Counsel's report.
I have no official report, but I would like to publicly congratulate Melissa Pania on her selection to be the board clerk. I work closely with the board clerk's office during the course of the time when you don't see me here, and I think it's a very good decision, and I look forward to working with Melissa in the future. I'd also like to publicly say and thank Sherry Kelly, who's acted as the interim clerk. Again, I work closely with her, and she's been very informed and attentive and communicative and very, very helpful in the dealings that myself and my office have had with her over the last few months. She's done an excellent job and was very much a positive for my working relationship, and I can say, I think, for the district and serving the board as well. That's all I have.
Thank you.
I would just add, President Orzali, that Sherry is not going anywhere right away. Now, there will be a transition period, so I too have been greatly appreciative, but she's agreed to stick around and help us through some other issues to get everything perfectly level and transition, because we also have to wait till we get some human resources people in to replace Melissa in there. So she will be around for the next several months.
Thank you, and on behalf of the board, I'd like to reiterate our thanks to Ms. Kelly for her efforts. It's been a personal pleasure to work with her, and even though Chief Wells said some really unkind things about the gap that it created in his organization, to have Melissa coming to the board position, get used to it, Chief. You'll live. So, moving then to committee and firefighters local 522, and their representative called me and told me they would not be here this evening. So we'll move into the committee and delegates report and the executive committee report. There is nothing to report, and their next meeting is to be determined. Moving then to the communications JPA. Chief Cockrum.
Directors, President Orzali, Scott Cockrum, Deputy Chief Support Services. Our JPA, we had a special meeting on last Friday. It was a workshop format where we were discussing the JPA agreement. We went through the agreement line by line. We are proposing some modifications to that. There will be the two really highlight modifications would be if there was no way in there if there was a large capital improvement to a financial capital improvement to hold accountable the voting members if that agency had left. So we're now setting it up to where if you vote to make a large capital improvement, that you are stuck with the bill with that throughout the totality of the time that would be paid off. The second piece of that would be how another agency may join. We're going to define, make some definitions of what other agencies, from a voting member to a participating member to like a volunteer member. and define how that they can come into to the system. We are getting some requests from some outside agencies to become a participant, and what that buy-in is and what their member share is. The rest of this process is it's going to our general counsel. He reviews the new JPA amended agreement, and then it has to be voted on, and it has to be 100% unanimous between the board and all of the councils. You will be receiving a board presentation from Bob Kingsley, the general counsel for the Communications Center, when where all of the member agency general counsels agree to that. So that will be coming within the month. So we have a pretty quick time turnover on this. So I'll take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Moving into the California Fire and Rescue Training JPA, Director Kelly.
Mr. Chairman, the JPA has not met since I last reported out. We will be meeting on the 27th of March at 9 a.m. At the JPA's headquarters.
Okay, thank you. Finance Committee with Director Jones.
Thank you. We have a couple highlights from our committee meeting earlier this evening. The general overview is that we have a budget increase from a proposed budget increase from 155 to 159 million with our mid-year adjustment. Our ground emergency medical transport was a huge, significant add to on the adjustable budget, with $2.7 million being added. Again, compliments ongoing to Chief Scott Clough and his endeavors to develop that program, GEMT, Ground Emergency Medical Transport. Also, I'd like to note that we have now fully funded our ARC for this year. That's our annual required contribution to OPEB. We were we didn't fully fund it last year, and we have now caught up, so that's a huge positive step for our agency. An aside is that we do have $1.5 million in this GEMT revenue that is being held up on an unrelated dispute between the state and the feds. And as soon as they get that resolved, which could be up to a year, we will see those funds coming into our agency. And then finally, our reserves are at 10.6% of our budget. Our goal is still 15%, and we are continuing to achieve and go forward to get that goal. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman. Mr.
Thank you very much. Moving into the Policy Committee, and recognizing that Director Pearson's not here, we'll move directly into the board members' questions and comments. So with that, Director Monk.
Just briefly, I'd like to congratulate Chief Clough and his entire staff for their presentations on the program that they're going with. Back when I was on the medics and transporting people to Mercy San Juan, there was always a working relationship there that was special, and they took real good care of the medics at that facility, and I'm really gratifying to see the benefits of us working together to enhance and actually save more lives of a lot of citizens. So it's to our effort looking in the future, to Chief Clough and his staff for putting these programs together and working and outreaching to the hospitals to make this work. So it shows the credit of the people that we've got working with us. So I appreciate them, and Chief Clough's continue working on the GEMT program and all the things that they're working on. So keep it up. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Director Wood.
Likewise, just echo the congratulations to Chief Clough. Captain Daly, heck of a presentation. Appreciate that. All the hard work you and your staff have done. It's showing wonderful results. Also, Chief Henke, just want to continue to say I do appreciate getting the updates and seeing all the information that comes from Captain Item and her staff regarding all the efforts in the public outreach that this department does, this district does, to educate the members of what we do, including the value of the property saved each time that we're out there on those structure fires. It's very good work that comes from her and her department. I don't know if it's been said or not, but we did get a copy of an email from Stephen Allred from the Cloverdale Fire Protection District, complimenting a number of people from our staff that he encountered at a training session, and I think they need to be mentioned for their commendation. Chiefs Johnson, Shannon, Lozano, Captains Heim, and Idem all exhibited professionalism that led Mr. Allred to recognize their efforts in his encounters with them. So that's good to know. So thank you.
Thank you. Director Scheidegger.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I'd like to acknowledge Erin Castleberry for her hard work in getting that grant certification. I like to talk all the time about the success this department has and how that is a tremendous attribute to our community. And it's because of people like Erin and her work that we're able to be so successful. I'd also want to make sure the citizens of this community understand how important this LifeNet 12-lead program is. 60 minutes versus the standard of 90 minutes. What a wonderful, wonderful result for our community. And I think it's a real tribute to the environment that Sac Metro provides for our people to thrive and flourish and provide like this. Thank you all. I also want to acknowledge Melissa. I think it's a wonderful selection. I've had the privilege of working with her in the Leadership Initiative Group Subcommittee on Career Development. I see her leadership, I see her dedication to this department, and I know she's going to be a real attribute to us on the board. So congratulations, and thank you, Sherry. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Gould.
Ditto.
Wait a minute.
Excellent.
You can't just say ditto.
I can say whatever I want to say. Ditto, period.
Okay. Thank you for that. Insightful. Director Clark.
Yes. I, first of all, would like to congratulate Ms. Padilla on her new job. Welcome. Looking forward to working with you. And I also like to thank Ms. Kelly in her help during the transition from Charlotte Tillotson to Melissa. The other thing is I really am thankful, and I kudos to the EMS division for continually innovating and finding new ways in improving our service, our transport services, and saving lives. This 12-lead program is just amazing. It's really, really important to our community because there are a lot of people out there having heart issues. And I'll tell you, if I ever had an event like that, I would sure hope that Metro Fire would be there to help out because they're doing just a fantastic job. And finally, I want to thank all the men and women of our district for the wonderful job they do day in and day out to make this Sac Metro Fire a wonderful organization. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Director Kelly.
Yes, I would just like to say thank you to the same people that have been said thank you to by 6 other directors. And I would like to tell Mr. Davis that I am certainly looking forward to seeing the completion of the simulation center, and it's been a while coming. I remember the excitement that I heard, the excitement and trepidation that I heard when we were first informed of that grant, and it's just another example of the fine work that you've done here. Appreciate your efforts.
Thank you. Director Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will call out the names for the thank yous and the congratulations. Number one, in order of presentation, was Erin Castleberry. Congratulations. Keep up the great work. Good for you. In regards to our STEMI treatment improvement process here, RN Bentley, Rick Maloney, and the rest of the Metro EMS division, wow, that's like the hugest step I've seen in EMS in a long time. That is fantastic for critical care. Fantastic. And again, and lastly, but not least at all, welcome to our new clerk, Melissa Pinilla. I'll get it right. Melissa, welcome. I look forward to working with you. And yeah, Sherry, you're not getting out of here so easy. And I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you during the transition. And thank you for all your work the previous months.
Thank you very much. So with that, I will add the comments of Ditto 8.0, and we will close this meeting. Thank you. The meeting's adjourned.
Sure was 8.0?
Yeah.
Well, you say so.
He's the president.
So they're
That's
gonna
right.
have.
Exactly.
Come support your department, right? On the Ed Kenny, it's a boat located on the dock in Old Sacramento. It's a boat, right? And what, we're all gonna be on the boat drinking $2 beers?